So this is some of the topics that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about some different templates that you can get for Google Forms. We're going to talk about how to make a branching form, response validation, and then we're going to talk a little bit about grading forms as well. So hopefully taking some of that load off of you and let Google do the work. All right, so I'll make sure to, Mr. Steinberg, could you put the link for this presentation into the chat so that people can follow along with it?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So there's a link here for some different templates that you can use. And if you click on that, you'll go ahead and get some different templates to start your forms with. But we're kind of assuming at this with this presentation that you've at least made 1 or 2 Google Forms before. You've kind of dipped a toe in the water and you have some sort of baseline level. But Google Forms is such a powerful Google tool, and those templates will help you get started and get you going a little bit more quickly with getting your Google Forms going. And anything that can save time is fantastic. All right. So again, we're kind of assuming that you've made a Google form before, but we're going to go real quick over the different question types because maybe you've only worked with a couple of the different question types. Obviously, you can do short answer or paragraph. The multiple choice questions, we're pretty familiar with those, but the check boxes and the drop-down boxes are also really powerful. Drop-down boxes are great if you're sharing a form across a PLC. You can put all the teachers' names in there and have them select which teacher a student is checking in from. File upload. I know on our campus at Rowlett, we use the file upload for our Avid Wicker Challenge when we need to upload like documentation of our Avid techniques. And you can definitely do that with your students as well. Just know that although I don't know that you necessarily need to because we have Google Classroom, but you can definitely do that if you want to collect pictures or anything from your students. Linear choice, that's the scale 1 to 5. That's a great little temperature check. You could do almost as a formative assessment. Multiple grade view, and so those check boxes are going to let you kind of select and rank things, and then date and time. So again, when you're starting off with your Google form, you're going to want to make sure that you're collecting some baseline information so you know who is filling the form out. It's definitely a mistake I made this year. Had you guys fill out a form collecting some teacher information, totally forgot to put it to collect email addresses or teacher names, so y'all had to go do that again. That was definitely my fault because I made that form. So just make sure you're collecting the student name, class period, anything else that's kind of important to starting off that form. And again, if you're sharing a form across your PLC, if you put that teacher name on there, then you can filter the results by teacher so that each teacher sees only the students that they're interested in looking at. All right, so this is kind of the one of the big topics that I wanted to cover, which is embedding instruction in a branching form. So in a Google form, you have some different options to make the form go different places depending on the answer choice. So you can definitely use this to expand on a topic. If the students are showing mastery, you can use it to correct misconceptions. If they're getting an answer choice wrong, then you can embed a little YouTube video or yourself kind of going in and talking and saying, hey, this is the correct information because, or you could even talk about why that answer choice is incorrect. If they need extra examples, great in like a math or a science class when you're working problems out, maybe they just need to see that a couple of times more. Or you could give instant feedback. If they get the right answer, provide some encouragement, a quick little video of you like giving them a thumbs up or whatever, be silly with it. Because I know the world is in need of some laughter right now. So anything you can do that's going to give instant feedback and help them know that you're still here, you're still their teacher, and you're doing everything you can to support them and their learning. All right, so I've got a quick little, example of a Google form. So the trick here is you're going to click on the triple dots at the bottom of the question, and you're going to select go to section based on answer. So clearly, if there's one right choice here, and if they click on the right choice, then it would submit the form, right? But if they click on the wrong choice, then it's going to go and give them a video and show them maybe why they would need to rethink their choice, and then give them an opportunity to answer it again. So like I said, I've got it where if you click the correct choice, it's going to submit the form, whereas if you click the wrong choices, hopefully you guys get my humor here, it's going to go to a video and give them a little bit of reteach there and give them an opportunity to answer again. You can also do it by using this, can't see it, at the very bottom of the screen. You can have different sections go to different places. So if they end up in a different section, you can have them kind of go different places, almost like a choose your own adventure book. And when you're adding stuff into your Google form, this little sidebar here is very helpful. You can add your picture, your anchor chart there, YouTube video, and then that's your new section button. All right. So just some things to kind of help you get started. When I think about a branching Google form, I think about like the logic of a computer program, and a computer programmer is always going to kind of sit down and map out the logic first. So that would be my recommendation. If you're going to make a complicated Google form with lots of different answer choices and places to go, make yourself a flowchart and a map. That's really going to help you when you're creating it. And then once you've started making it, you're going to want to test it again and check all of the right answers and all the wrong answers, and make sure you don't have any like crazy loops that just go, round and round and round. You can't get through the form to the very end. And then if you do make a complicated branched Google form, the grading is going to be a little bit complicated on it. So one thing that you can do is kind of select those certain questions that you really want to make your checkpoints and grade those. And then maybe some of it is just, practice, and it's going to be ungraded. And I've provided some extra information from Alice Keeler from Shake Up Learning and a YouTube tutorial to kind of walk you through how to get those set up. Okay, response validation. So response validation is you can set up your Google form so it will look for a specific word or phrase or number or range of numbers that's going to let the form continue. So you won't be able to go on until you've put in the right answer. So you're going to, again, select those triple dots at the bottom and turn on your response validation. And then there's some different choices, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like in a minute. It also has the power to collect a regular expression or regex. Regular expressions are pretty complicated. It's almost like computer programmer territory with like specific syntax. But if you want to make it collect a phone number in a very specific format, then you can look up a regex and put that in there. And I can help you with that if that's something you're interested in doing. But that's pretty far in the advanced user end of the field. And that's one of those things I don't really have experience. I just kind of barely know what it is. If you're doing response validation, you want to make sure that you have custom error text and you put that in. Otherwise, the form is going to show, if you put the wrong answer in, it's going to show you what the right answer is. So make sure you set that custom error text with a, try again, or make sure to go look on your notes on whatever this unit was. So you can give them a hint or whatever. So response validation is really powerful if you're going to do any kind of vocabulary work or fill in the blanks. If you're doing a digital breakout, think of those as like the passwords or locks that you need to make your digital breakout actually, kind of like a breakout. Also, if you're doing any kind of open-ended, math-based science class, math class, and you don't want them to do a multiple choice, if you want them to actually kind of like have to work the problem out a little bit more, response validation is going to be great for that. You can also password protect a form. So let's say, well, I think about myself when I was a kid in high school. I would probably go, if I had the choice between the assignment and the test, I would probably go look at the test first because that's what's going to be graded. And I would just go and try to work my way through that, um, you know, from the start with that, kind of skipping over the preamble. So what you can do is you could embed that password somewhere in the assignment. So they have to go into the assignment and at least look at it before they can get to the assessment. And that would definitely work in a traditional classroom setting as well. All right. Okay, so again, that's kind of how you turn that response validation on, those triple dots right there. And this is where you would choose the response type. So you can choose text, number, that regular expression, or length. So if you want them to, I don't use length very often, but it's like if there's a maximum or a minimum number of characters that they need to put in, that could be useful if you're collecting student ID numbers, right? Because they have to put in the 6 digits of the student ID number. Oh, you can also collect emails, and you can actually set it to do specific emails, like only Garland ISD emails as well. Okay. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let Mr. Steinberg take over for this part.
All right, there's a lot of ways to give feedback, which is obviously a way you can differentiate your teaching. So the next cluster of slides kind of go over the different ways to kind of grade and give feedback. So if you want to go forward on the slides, please.
Absolutely.
Short answer, or if you have, options, you want to make sure that you do put in an answer key in forms, no matter what you choose. Make sure you have a key. Make sure you're clicking that questions are required as well, because the first time you're going to make mistakes. First time you go in and do Google Forms, as it is, it's like anything else, just takes practice. And like Mary was saying, just go in and do it. Make sure everything works. But you have a whole bunch of options with the answer key if you want to keep going. For short answer, if you're going to give them short answer and you're going to grade it, you want to give them as many possible answers as possible. If you'll notice, I mean, that just one was War of 1812, but there's many different ways they can input it. And if you want to give them an immediate grade, if they happen to put it in quotations or if they happen to use a short sentence, you don't want it to automatically count it wrong. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back and go do a lot of that. So just if you're doing short answer things, just something to think about, as many possible answers. It could be correct or what you want to focus on. And then make sure you give a point value. That's the other thing is you're doing it either, if like Mary was saying, some things you want more points than others, but that gives them kind of the immediate feedback as well. All right, multiple choice grading, pretty straightforward. You just click on the right answer. Make sure you give a point value and make sure you click done to save it. Giving feedback. So if you want to have an open-ended response, you do want to be able to give feedback, which is really important for, again, differentiation, that you're going to click on the responses tab and you can either do question by question or you can do like an individual's whole quiz, which are kind of the next couple of slides. But you're going to click on the add feedback bottom on the button. And again, you want to score it something, as you go through. When you give the feedback, and then you can change scores later as they resubmit it. So you can give a score again, and then this is if you click the individual, and this allows you again to look at the whole, like a whole student's quiz versus like the same question over and over again. It's really just however you want to stagger your grading with it. Keep going one more. There we go. So if you're giving student feedback link, this is a good way to say, this would be kind of open-ended, describe the War of 1812, but they gave, just copied and pasted the first 2 lines from Wikipedia, because that's what they do. But if you want them to go in and kind of read something, or, you can link in, just make sure you click add, otherwise it won't do it, and then click save. So it's something I had to do quite a few times as well, that it doesn't automatically save in you actually have to go through kind of all these steps to add feedback, and it's not hard and it doesn't take long. You know, again, you can copy and paste the links to any student that you want to have that extra little bit of reading resources. And it's not just for those who struggle, but if somebody, you know, for your GT kiddos, you're like, hey, this is a little bit extra that you can go in, you can read and embed, you know, it's another way we could push them to do more. And then same thing with video is that if you, right next to the literature link, there's the embed the video link, and it'll click on YouTube, and you can either, you know, add a whole YouTube video, you can search it, or if you know the URL, click it, same thing, and, you know, say, okay, feedback, watch the video, and then respond again. So it's pretty helpful that you can go in and you can give this feedback to them. And then this is what the students see from their end. You know, they would see on their end that they didn't get all the points, that there was a video embedded, and it gives them something to do after the fact.
Okay, that's pretty much all we were going to really talk about today. So I know we kind of went through that quickly. Is there any questions out there or anything that you guys want us to expand on?
Again, we wanted to include the basics of it, and then also the, you know, the two extra parts, the branching and the response validation, are definitely a little bit higher level that we want you to incorporate, because it's kind of like, you know, they get more empowerment of their own learning if they're able to do so. But you really have to have kind of a little foundation of understanding for Google Forms, which isn't hard. Go in and play with it. It's a fun app.
Okay. All right, I guess I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I can see people's faces again. All right. Any questions that you guys have at this time? How do we get the recorded version? So I'm going to upload I upload all my webinars into YouTube, and then I put them on our staff site, but I'll make sure to share those with the other Ready One-to-One coaches so that Ardell can get that to you for Name and Forest. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. There was an assign-in. If you could just say hello in the chat.